morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me again this morning on Next on the Tee. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and today I have the wonderful privilege of having two great guests back on the show with me this morning. First up is going to be 2003 PGA champion Shaun Micheel. I'm really looking forward to catching up with Shaun. He's down in Florida sharpening this game for the 2015 season. We're rooting really hard to see his name back at the top of the leaderboards. You're not going to find a nicer guy than Shaun Micheel, so rooting for him is easy, and I'm sure no one is going to outwork Shaun, so something tells me that brighter times are ahead for Shaun on the PGA Tour, and then down the road a little bit on the Champions Tour a couple years from now as well. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more when he joins me here in just a few moments. A little later this hour, LPGA professional Missie Berteotti will be back to give us an update on her instructional series, focusing this time on the mental side of the game. And with everything going on with Tiger Woods' game, the mental part has become a big topic. So we'll get into that with Missie when she joins me about 20 minutes from now. So we got two great guests in store for you, and we can't thank you enough for deciding to listen in on the show this morning. But before we get started, I want to remind you about our new sponsor, Custom Golf Bags USA. Custom Golf Bags USA is the ideal choice for corporates and individuals wanting to customize their logo on high-quality golf gear. Their founder, Travis McLean, has taken his love for golf to new levels for all golf lovers around the world. They understand that everyone wants to dress like a golf professional, play like a golf professional, and now with Golf Bags USA, you can have a golf bag like a golf professional. At Custom Golf Bags USA, they design their golf bags with the individuality of the customer in mind. They offer the best in quality and innovation by utilizing the most cutting-edge production technologies and expert workers to ensure your bag is at the top of its class. Custom Golf Bags USA knows that top-quality golf bags are more than just fancy embroidery and needlework. It's the effective blend of high-standard material, superior design, and top-notch customer service. Everything from the interior structure of the bags to the outer panels is created with the utmost care and attention to detail. Why not let your clients walk the fairways promoting your company's brand, and Custom Golf Bags USA can utilize or customize a golf bag that is actually going to make you a legacy with those folks and something that they'll never forget. It's your game, your way. For more information, check out their Facebook page, Custom Golf Bags USA, and give them a like. That's important to them, too. All right, I want to kick off the show like we do every single week here by saluting the brave men and women serving in our military. We want to thank you for your daily sacrifices and all you do to keep the rest of us safe. We also want to thank those of you who serve or have served in every branch of the military and public service. We truly appreciate what you do to preserve our freedoms and our liberties. It's through your strength and your efforts that our way of life is even possible. Our sincere thanks as well to Sean Cruz and all the folks over at Armed Forces Radio. It's an honor for us to be a part of your network. You can find our show by going to armedforcesradionetwork.org. And we also want to thank everyone listening in on iHeartRadio, as well as great radio sites across the internet like Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, Player.fm, and Blog Talk Radio as well. Plus, if someone's dragging you to the mall or to the grocery store, or you're just tired of the same old on your commute, download the Player.fm or Stitcher app on your smartphone and take us with you everywhere you go. Let us give you something fun to focus on while you're out and about. All right, I got my first guest hanging on the line with me, and that is Shaun Micheel. He is back on the Custom Golf Bags USA guest line. Let me remind you a little bit about Shaun's background. He's originally from Orlando, Florida, and later moved over to Memphis, Tennessee. Why? Because his father was one of the original pilots for FedEx. We actually attended the same high school, Christian Brothers, just kind of a few years apart there outside of Memphis. Shaun played collegiately at Indiana University and turned pro in 1992. He won once on the Nike Tour, now the Web.com Tour, at the Greensboro Open in 1999. Then actually the year prior, won internationally at the Singapore Open. We all remember his fantastic win at the 2003 PGA Championship. I'm sure you remember that he won the tournament with one of the greatest finishing shots in PGA Tour history. On top of that PGA Championship, Shaun's had 20 top 10 finishes and 57 top 25 finishes out on tour. Plus, he's a heck of a great guy, and I'm thrilled to have him back next on the tee with me this morning. Shaun, thanks for taking time out of your morning to come back on the show.
Oh, you're welcome, Chris. Good morning.
So, Shaun, you told me you're down in Florida. You're working on your game. How are things going? How are you feeling going into the 2015 season?
Yeah, I feel okay. I do. I took a little time off in the winter to do some hunting and spend some time with the family, and I pretty much shut it down. But found a place down here in Port St. Lucie, Florida, to practice for a month. I'm here for another couple of weeks, so just trying to see what 2015 holds for me.
So when you look forward to the rest of the golf season, Shaun, have you set some goals for yourself? What are you looking or hoping to achieve this year?
Well, there was a couple of things. Just I think physically, I wanted to. I guess technically in my golf swing, I wanted to try to fix. I wanted to try to get be a little bit more consistent with my swing. There were a couple of things that I think really needed some work. So I came down here and actually found someone that I wanted to work with, a guy named Mike Melizzi out at the Harbor Ridge Yacht Club, and I was over there last week, was working on a couple things. So I'm not exempt, so I've got plenty of time to try to work on some of these things. But as far as setting goals, I think my goals have certainly changed, each and every year. It's funny. I think a goal of mine this year is just to play a couple of events, really. It's just I don't have access like I used to have, and so I'm going to be forced probably to do some Monday qualifiers and possibly go to Europe and play, which is okay with me. I've done plenty of world travel, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm going to have to enjoy these next 2 or 3 weeks and try to tidy up the golf swing a little bit, and then kind of lay out a plan for doing some qualifiers.
Shaun, when I was doing some further research, on your career and your time back, obviously when you burst onto the scene in '03, I read an interview you did with the BBC prior to the 2013 PGA Championship that was back at Oak Hill where you won in '03, and you said that you were going to be more nervous than at any other point in your life because you've been carrying around the burden of being a major winner but without having done anything else, which is a little surprising to me because you have achieved so much. You've got top 10 finishes and top 25 finishes. What makes you feel like, or at least what made you say at the time that you feel like you haven't done enough?
Well, I maybe I've mentioned this before. I think when you're a golfer, major championships are definitely at the top of the pecking order as it relates to just historical significance and personal significance. I think everybody wants to win one, but I think in order to do that, there's a process that guys have to go through, and even ladies on their tour. And and that's first, getting your card, competing and playing at a high level for a while, and then maybe winning a few events, and then getting in some of these major championships because they're not easy to get into. And so if you've qualified for one, you've played pretty well. But there was no process really for me. Yeah, I played okay. Was starting to feel comfortable out on tour. It took me a few years to kind of get that experience and just the comfort of just being out there and meeting new people and playing these tough courses. And lo and behold, I was having a decent year that year in '03 and had a couple good finishes leading up to the PGA. And then when I won, it was I kind of just jumped into the fire. But I say all that because I really didn't have the process in place for how I was going to feel after winning a major championship. I certainly have dreamed about that. I had dreamt about that as a child, winning a tournament, winning a major championship like all of us do. But I don't think I was really ready for the firestorm inside of me, the questions and the self-doubt and everything else about, how I was going to upstage that win. It wasn't like I won. I think it was the way that I won. To cap off the tournament at the 18th hole. All of us dream about, making the last putt. Maybe it's a 15-footer, or 20-footer, or 30-footer, or whatever it may be. But to hit a shot and they're 2 inches from the hole and to know that the tournament is mine, it just was. You couldn't script it any better. Those are the types of things you almost wish are at the very end of your career, just to cap it all off. And I'll tell you that there have been times where not that I thought about just calling it a career, but that moment is, that thought has crossed my mind several times, because I just, even after I won, excuse me, it didn't take long to realize how was I going to, like I said, upstage that event. And I just carried this burden around for a while, and I played well in 06 and finished second to Tiger at Medina and felt really good about my game, and then I got hurt. And I continued to play that way. So, for all of the guys out there, and the ladies too, that have played this great game and have been kind of glamorized, if you will, by not winning a major championship, and how much hurt they must have. I think of Lee Westwood, and I think of Steve Stricker, and I think of Sergio Garcia. Their careers have been incredible. They're Hall of Fame careers. And yet people still write about how much it must hurt to not have won a major championship at this point. Well, I can tell you how much it hurts to have won one and to not have done a lot of other stuff. And it's a humbling game. The one thing is, I won that tournament. I deserved to win. I played the best. I slept on the lead for 2 nights of a major championship, and that's not easy to do for someone who's really just kind of getting into his tour career. So it's unfortunate. I feel bad that I got hurt in 07 and tried to play. It just was bad timing. And although I'm pretty healthy now, other than the heart surgery I had last April, it just kind of seems to be one thing after another. And so I'm kind of working my way through some of that stuff.
Yeah. So, a couple of things kind of based on what you just said, Shaun. I'm curious, because you did talk about how you may not have been ready for what that meant in winning a major, and as you said, you sat on the lead for a couple of nights. Did you ever allow yourself to think during the course of that tournament that, boy, I could actually win this thing, and what that would mean? Because I know I'd be back at the hotel thinking to myself, holy cow, I could win a major here.
No, of course I did. I mean, I think that's human nature, I think. And I think everybody, when they tee off on Thursday morning, I don't care if you're a club professional that's qualified to the PNC, or you're a seasoned player or a Hall of Famer. I mean, when you get to the first tee and the PGA of America has that trophy out there, all of us have dreams and aspirations of thinking, God, would it be nice to hold that trophy? There's only one guy that's going to do it, and you got to get through 4 days of the most difficult courses that you can play in order to hold the trophy up. And that's kind of what I did. I kind of survived, and I played well. And I think it was disappointing, I think, in 13, because when I won, there was only 2 people that broke par. And of course, the golf course was totally different. It was firm and fast. It was extremely hot. But it was a little disheartening, I think, to go back in 13 and see there's like 22 or 23 guys under par, and the course had changed a little bit, soft and everything else. But they always get a deserving champion. The guy that plays the best that week, wins. And I think, so everybody is in the right mind, I think, to want to, dream about holding the trophy. And that's it's no different than any other job that you do. Everybody has dreams to reach the highest level, and it's fun when you do.
So you talked about a moment ago, Shaun, how the pressure and the folks in the media writing about guys like Sergio and Lee Westwood who haven't won majors, and you're sort of like at the 180-degree opposite side of that, having won one but not more after that. Have people, have the media or other folks, written stories about that sort of thing and lumped pressure on you by saying, as opposed to going to Sergio, go, gee, why haven't you won a major? And you haven't won a major, and constantly reminding him how he hasn't. Have people done the opposite to you, coming to you saying, why haven't you won more on tour? And boy, you won that major, but you haven't done anything else since. Has that been something that you've had to deal with?
Oh yeah. Well, that grates on me, that question, because there's one particular writer that I have a huge disdain for, and that would be Dan Jenkins. Dan Jenkins penned an article that you can find on the internet. I don't remember what year it was written. It might have been 09, maybe 10, maybe even a little bit later than that. And he penned the article basically saying that of all the major championships that have been conducted, the 2003 major championship, all four of them were probably going to go down as the worst in history, and not just because of the four winners, but also because of the four guys that finished second. And he said we were double-dipped. I also had a tweet from him last year that said basically that he was going to compile an all-star list of the worst major winners, starting with me and Todd Hamilton, which prompted a response from me to get into a kind of a verbal battle. And obviously he's an experienced writer. The one thing that I would really love for him to hear from me, or to be told to his face, is that what he does, anybody in this world can do. I can go to school like I did. I can get an education. All of us can do what he did and does. He has just he had turned a Hall of Fame writing career, and he, as far as I'm concerned, ruined it by trying to be funny. And meanwhile, my trophy, and my name sits on that trophy, and forever in history will be on that trophy. So I've escaped relatively unscathed, but I was just sickened, to have seen this quote unquote respected journalist who felt like he needed to keep his comedic writing going, even at 84 years of age. It's unfortunate, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm afraid to go any further with that.
I understand, but good for you. So, Shaun, are you feeling now, since we're a little over a decade removed from that win, so expectations aren't what they were? Do you feel that more people now are rooting for you because we want to see you make it back to the top of the leaderboard?
Oh, I think so. You can just look at it and look at Tiger Woods and kind of what's going on with him right now. He played the villainous role for a while, just I think because of his standoffish nature with maybe the fans and even some of the media. He's always been gracious with his time, in speaking to the media. He's just not always been as forthcoming as maybe some other players have been. So I think, he started that trend, and then as his game kind of ascended, it was like that, and then he started to kind of fall apart a little bit. I think people always kind of root for those types of stories.
Right.
You have to be careful in burning any bridges and all bridges on your way up, because there's not going to be anything left for you on your way down. And you see a lot of things that are being written. Some say that it's sad. It's sad to watch. It's hard to watch this guy that held, you can argue the Grand Slam was a non-calendar Grand Slam, but and some people are just saying it's karma. So there's writers of all styles and out there, and so I feel a little bit of that about that. Of course, not at his level. All my friends are asking me, what are you going to do? What are your plans? And I think it all just goes back to people not really understanding how the PGA Tour works and how the qualification process really works. And you and I have kind of gone into that, on an earlier show. But people don't really have an understanding. They think, you got a PGA Tour card, that you must be out there playing, and it just doesn't work that way. I mean, you have to keep playing. You have to keep playing well, and I do find people that are very inquisitive as to what I'm doing, what my plans are, and I just basically tell them the same thing, that I've got kind of a 2-year plan really, and there's a 48-49 category in the Web.com tour for guys that are going to go into the Champions Tour, and it's all based on career money. So I should be fine with the career money for the Web.com exemption for a couple of years before I get out on the Champions Tour. So I think people are they don't really know what to say to me, to be honest with you. They root for me. They want to see me get back, and so I guess I'm working hard to try to accomplish that. But just with the qualification process of getting onto the tour now, it's just so difficult. But I certainly hope that my time hasn't come and gone with the PGA Tour. I was thinking about this yesterday. I can't remember what my last PGA Tour event was. Obviously I played the PGA last year, but as far as the last PGA Tour event I've played, it's been a couple of years. So I'm working hard and hoping to get back.
So you talk about exemptions. You're exempt till you're 65. to play in the PGA Championship, and this year it's up at Whistling Straits. Are you looking forward to playing that course and competing up there?
Yeah, actually, both times that we've played there, I've actually played pretty well. When I defended, that's where I defended my title in 2004, and I remember getting off to a really, really rocky start. Just the golf course had changed so much between the first round and when I played my media day. I guess that would have been May of 2004. I went up there and did a media day, and they had changed the golf course and made it a little bit easier. And came back with 3 really good rounds and played pretty well there in 2010, I think. But it's an interesting course. It's a unique course. It's obviously Dustin Johnson and what happened to him in 2010, I guess. Out of the bunker. It's a quirky course, and hopefully they'll have some of these bunkers either moved or grassed over or something. But it's a great golf course. It's got plenty of space, for spectators to walk, and of course plenty of space for us to hit crooked shots too. But particularly with Lake Michigan right there too, it's a wide open course, which it doesn't really suit my eye. So you really have to spend some time in the practice rounds, kind of getting your lines. But it's a beautiful piece of property, and Herb Kohler and Pete Dye did a great job with it.
Shaun, a couple more before we let you go. We've got our next guest, Missie Berteotti, hanging on the line. We're going to get to Missy here in just a moment. Switch gears on you a little bit. As a University of Indiana alum, were you happy that Ohio State won the national championship to restore some luster back to the Big Ten, or is it hard rooting for a Big Ten rival?
No, I got some good friends. Gary Nicholas went there, Chris Smith, went there. So I got some good friends that went there. I'm a Big Ten guy, and I'll always support them. It was kind of a down year. I mean, I'm rooting hard for my Indiana Hoosiers. I went up last year, took my son up to Indiana for a basketball game, and got to spend some time with Coach Wilson and everything, and they're on the right track. But no, it was definitely good to see. I mean, I think it was. I thought the game was going to be a little closer than it was. I mean, Ohio State really, really looked sharp, and they looked good the last. They lost the first game, I guess, to Virginia Tech, and then they went on the streak. And to think that they did that after going through a couple of quarterbacks, it looks like their future is pretty bright in Columbus. So. I was disappointed when the season was over. I thought that the playoff system went off very well. Maybe they're going to expand to 8 teams. It's all about the almighty dollar, and there's going to be a lot of people, I think, got a lot out of those 2 games, or the 3 games. And it was fun to watch. I'm disappointed that football is over because there's not a whole lot to do, and I'm not much of a golf watcher when I'm not playing.
You're also a Tennessee Titans fan, and Shaun, I'm a Steelers fan. I'm from Pittsburgh, and our former defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau is now an assistant with the Titans. Were you excited to see him come on board and what he might be able to do for the Titans defense that ranked 27th in the league last season? Yeah,
I don't. Golly, they just. It's been frustrating to watch them. They can't seem to keep anybody healthy at quarterback. I can't figure out what Mettenberger is he gonna be the face of the franchise at some point. Jake Locke, I just don't know. I mean, what a tough job. I guess I'm glad I chose golf, but I can't believe he's even still coaching. I mean, Dick's got to be he's got to be mid to late 70s. But when you have that love for the game, you just don't ever want to give it up. And his mind is obviously still there. He still commands a lot of respect. So I'm hoping that they are able to get some talent surrounding the coach. And I root for him, and I listen to him. I haven't been to a game in a couple of years, but I'm definitely pulling hard for him.
Shaun, how can our listeners stay up to date with all the things that you're doing? What events you decide to play in 2015, and follow you on social media?
Yeah, I do stuff. I just got on Facebook a couple months ago, so you can just type my name in there, Shaun Micheel, and then I'm at Shaun Micheel PGA on Twitter, and not as involved with Twitter anymore. Just too many negative things out there. I still post a few things. It's definitely a great way, I think, to kind of get the new equipment out there for my fans and my friends that they want to see some of the things that I'm doing. So I spend a lot of time reading up on current events and everything, and that's kind of how I get all my news from Twitter. But as far as posting, I don't post a whole lot of stuff on there. But I'm at Shaun Micheel PGA, and then of course it's Shaun Micheel. You can find me on Facebook.
Awesome. Shaun, thank you so much for taking some time out of your morning to come back on the show. You know we're rooting hard for you. We think so much of you. You're such a great guy and easy to root for. We hope physically you're fine, and then hopefully very soon we get the opportunity to see your name back at the top of the leaderboards because, like I say, there's not a finer individual on the planet than you.
Well, I appreciate that, Chris, and just the hats off of me. Thank you to the men and women of the armed services.
All right, Shaun, take care. We hope you'll come back and join us again soon. In the meantime, all the best to you and your family.
Thanks, Chris. You as well. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Shaun.
Okay.
Shaun Micheel, and I'm telling you, and I mean that sincerely, because I've had the privilege of talking a little bit offline with Shaun. He is just such a great guy and so easy to root for because of that. And I really hope that this 2015 season he's able to get his game going, get it back to where it was, climb up the web.com tour, and then hopefully at Whistling Straits he is a guy that's contending for that title because he has certainly deserved that opportunity. All right, now back with me on the Custom Golf Bags USA Golf guest line is Missie Berteotti. Let me give you some background on Missy. She was born and raised in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so you know she's awesome from the get-go. She won back-to-back Pennsylvania State Championships in 1980 and 81. She attended the University of Miami on a full golf scholarship and was a part of their 1984 National Championship team, receiving medalist honors. She played 14 years on the LPGA Tour and won the 1993 Ping Welch's Championship up in Boston. She's had several top 10 finishes on tour, including some of the PGA or LPGA's majors like the 88 LPGA Championship and 88 U.S. Open. She was the first ever women's golf coach at Carnegie Mellon University up in Pittsburgh, and now she's focusing her time on golf instruction, both with the mechanics of the game and the mental side of the game. And I'm excited to have her back next on the tee with me this morning. Missy, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you. It's always nice to hear somebody introduce you like that. Usually it's just like, hey, what's up? No, I'm doing great. Thank you, Chris.
Good for you, Missy. I know you're down in Florida watching your son's tennis tournament. How's he doing?
He's at 12 o'clock. He always gets mad at me because I say, you're teeing off today at 12 o'clock. He says, Mom, we do not tee off in tennis. But so he has a 12 o'clock tee time, and I probably get more excited and nervous for him than him. He's almost 16, and I'm just happy for him. Gets an opportunity, So everything's good with me.
Good for you. Good for him. So, yeah. Missy, you're a wonderful teacher of the game of golf, and one of the many programs you have now is about the mental side of the game. And with everything going on with Tiger Woods, that's a really hot topic right now. Bobby Jones used to say that golf is a game that is played on a 5-inch course, the distance between your ears, and Ben Crenshaw kind of put his twist on that by saying, I'm about 5 inches from being an outstanding golfer, and that's the distance my left ear is from my right ear. Talk about how people, how you are able to help people deal with the mental side of the game.
It's such a simple question, and it's such a big, broad answer, right? I believe. But, last night I was even reading some blogs from some really renowned instructors, all diagnosing Tiger's situation. But I guess if I have to discuss this in a couple of minutes, what I'd say is, what I believe, Chris? I don't think anything is separate. I've heard the whole argument if you can compartmentalize this and still perform well over here. I personally don't believe that. I just don't believe that. And I think Tiger it's obviously both. It's always connected. So I think he has on course, off course. He has a big life. He has complications. For so long, he, as a human being, as a competitor, didn't seem to have that affect his game. But I think now it's showing up. His just everything, dealing with everything, injuries, children, dating. It's affecting him. Changing instructors, of course, mechanics. And I just think he's a guy like everybody else. Now, of course, he's shown absolute brilliance, but he's just having to re-deal with everything again, and it's not as easy as people think to just turn it around.
Yeah.
And so I go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I know, Missy, you do a lot of work with younger golfers, right? And helping them deal with, fear or playing under pressure, having doubts.
Exactly.
You talk about Tiger maybe having doubts in his own game right now, and for all of us golfers, when we get out, part of our problem getting on our own way is we're trying too hard and expect too much perfection out of a game that's hard to reach perfection. I don't know that anyone's ever done it. How do you go about helping young golfers try to deal with these sorts of things? Because we put our we make habits right early, and that's going to define who we are later. How do you help them deal with these kind of situations?
Right. The first thing I try to do, Chris, is discuss fear. Discuss nervousness. Just absolute embarrassment, because that is happening. Tiger's experiencing it. It happens, but so many of the 16-year-old boys, especially. They don't want to act like they're afraid. They don't even want to admit it's happening, so then they never get to deal with how to deal with it. And so I think what I try to do, I try to be relatable, approachable, disarming, and just say, hey, here's how it is. Here's what happens to the best of the best. And it's just so good now that, it's good for us armchair quarterbacks and instructors to use Tiger as, here's the best guy in the world. Nobody's exempt. So here's what happens. Here's what I saw every day on the LPGA Tour, the best ladies. I play with enough pro men. Here's what I saw. So here's how they deal with it. So how do you? And so when you first start the conversation with these young players, it's a lot of denial, a lot of resistance, and then we gradually get into starting to learn how they've dealt with fear. They don't even know how they do it. But then we really get specific and I don't mean to be vague, but we do exercises in a classroom. And I put them on the spot. Embarrassment is embarrassment. I don't care if you're in a classroom or in the first tee of the U.S. Open. Now, obviously, there's varying degrees, but we all want to look good in front of our teammates. So you just have to get them in the class, I'd say, in my situation, and they'll start to, even though they won't admit it, they'll start to feel how they respond, and then I start helping them catch how they respond and make better responses, make better habits, and then when they're out on the golf course, they're looking for that, and they're not so shocked when it happens. That's the short answer. I don't know how that answers it exact. Obviously, it's an ongoing situation, but you have to act like you don't have to work in this area. You're just fooling everybody. And I'll say one last thing, Chris. It's not just about a mental game. I've always, as a golfer, you have to practice your mechanics inside that awareness, inside that fear, that competitive arena. And see how that fear affects you mechanically, because it changes some things technically, and you make adjustments while you play. So it's not for the light of heart.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Missy, some of the things you also talk to young athletes about. You do a Young Guns workshop where you talk about helping develop athletes, not just golfers, but good athletes, and that helps make players, young players, better golfers. So many parents these days have their children kind of focus solely on one sport, where back, I think, when you and I were growing up, we played multiple sports. What are your thoughts about kids and, whether it's, better to focus on one or to play a broader range of sports?
I'm on the phone a lot with parents. And with this topic exactly, I am 100%, I've seen it for so many years, how many decades. If you bring me a 15-year-old young boy or girl who is athletic, who has hand-eye, who has coordination in their hands, knows how to swing a club, release a baseball bat, things like that. I can teach him where to put his thumb and things like that for golf. But when you get that great golfer, great, quote unquote, at age 12, and they're very isolated from other coordination, movement patterns, emotional toughness that you learn from maybe basketball or tennis or, soccer, these things, that really, they almost hit a ceiling too early, those golfers that seemingly are good at a young age. And then they kind of hit a ceiling at golf, maybe at 16, 17, 18, and they have to develop that mental toughness, that emotional toughness, that how to compete, how to get down and dirty, whereas it's not just going to the driving range at 6 p.m. every Wednesday night and getting your 1-hour lesson. That got them good at age 12, but it's not going to do it at age 17. And I worked with a lot of the golf pros. Dr. Rick Jensen has a program to certify us instructors with all the science and all the background and all the research that's done in this. TPI does a lot of research in this. So I try, what they have always suggested to us coaches is it starts from the parents. And we, meaning me, we coaches have to educate the parents. And it's not sometimes easy because I believe, Chris, we're all tempted. We're all seduced. We want our kids to look great. And when you've got your kid looking good at 12, you're not willing to make any changes. But when the kid's not good anymore at age. So it's a long-term program. It's a long-term thinking process. And the young athlete and the player's family has to be on board. And it takes everything. It takes communication within the family. If there's other children with time commitments and not favoring one athlete and money. The Brant Snedekers of the world, there's a lot of talk lately about the Bubba Watson, the Rocco Mediate. My neighbor, from down the road in Pittsburgh, was on TV lately kind of saying they don't use teachers or they believe. I'm not so sure. There's been a little rebuttal to that. Every time Bubba has played in a collegiate tournament, junior golf tournament, pro golf tournament, when he's talking with his buddy on the range, that's a lesson. That's not a lesson from a Butch Harmon, so to speak, but believe me, there's people informing these young athletes all the way. They may learn a teeny bit, a little bit of information, and then a lot of practicing it, a lot of fiddling. That's great. That self-discovery, that is great. But Rocco, Rocco's a great guy. He's animated. Rocco's spent a lot of time and a lot of money on various instructors too. So these kids need some guidance. It's just there's very few that make it through on their own.
Missy, like I mentioned at the top, you spent 14 years playing on the LPGA Tour. Was it always fun playing on the tour, and were you ready to handle the mental side of the game when you got out there, or did you put your programs together because had someone shared the principles that you share with the young players and players that you're instructing across ages, the game would have been more fun and you would have been better prepared for what it has to bring?
That's it, absolutely. And first off, here's what I will say. I'm so grateful for the opportunity I had. You get older and you realize when you're out there as a young person, that's just normal. But right now I'm 51. I've loved the fact I loved it when I was out there. Was it always fun? No. It's embarrassing. It's hard work. It's exhausting. It's details. You have to have patience, and it's trying. So, have I, beaten my head against the wall so many times doing that. But I just feel like it just makes you competent as a person. I don't know sometimes if I sound arrogant feeling that, but I just think athletes learn instinctively how to hang in there. In life, sometimes you have to hang in there. But I know the main reason when I came off the tour, I had my son. I decided to stay home and raise him. And I was looking around for what to do next. I have a finance degree. I love that. But I feel fortunate, feel like the lessons I did learn out there that took years that I didn't know. I thought I was ready when I was on tour, but I learned very quickly I was not. So you have to backtrack, and not many people take the time or have the staying power to backtrack and relearn all those things and go through the embarrassment. It took me 6 or 7 years to win on tour, and that's embarrassing when you felt like, you're a big shot. Here I come tour, and you just, that was. So all those things I put into my junior programs in Pittsburgh, and I just feel like if somebody would have prepared me better, or if I would have sought it out, I just didn't know. It's as simple as that. My parents didn't know. So it's been really an opportunity for me my son's been involved in those clinics, and when it's a group session the way I have it and kids in the community, it really gets fun, and things really get brought to the table, and they learn a lot fast, and I've loved doing it. So I feel really fortunate.
Miss, when you got out on tour, did you find were there other players that were willing, to sort of take you under their wing to kind of show you, what it means to be an LPGA pro and what it entails to, compete out on the tour, or was it more the opposite where, hey, we're all competing against one another every single week for a paycheck, so it's sort of everyone for themselves?
Yeah, I think this is really celebrated right now with Phil Mickelson taking on this elder statesman role with the young players, the Keegan. I can't say. I think it's different in the fact that the money is so different on the men's and women's tour, and especially back then. Like even the top, I'd say 10 to 15 women on our tour back then, those were the really women that, really had a lot of, what am I trying to say? Their life wasn't that stressed. The men just have such a cushion with the money they've already earned. It's easier to befriend some younger players, to relax a little bit, to get to know somebody. I think our women were just so focused that really it is an individual sport. It is not like college.
Right.
Even in college, you have friends and you have somebody to talk to after the round, but you're still it's a solo sport. So I can't say I had some good friends. I don't want to make it sound like that. And the older players at the time were Nancy Lopez, Sandra Palmer, Jane Geddes for that degree, Patty Sheehan, Amy Alcott. Maybe Rosie Jones was a little bit older, but I would say they were pleasant, friendly, approachable, and I learned just simply being around them, playing with them. But it seems like these days, Phil really takes it's very conscious that he wants to push Keegan because Phil knows him hanging around Keegan, Phil's getting better also. And I think that's great. Phil is aware of that and doing that.
Going back to your victory on tour at the 1993 Ping Welch's Championship, you won that event over Dottie Pepper on the 5th playoff hole. You talk about focus and mental toughness, but you had to have that as a young player on some level because you had to stay mentally tough in that playoff to beat her for 5 playoff holes. And Dottie Pepper, at the time, that year she finished 4th on the money list. So talk about internally, you had to have some gumption in you to be able to focus in that time, winning your first event against a player of her caliber.
Right. And earlier when you and I were talking and I said, I thought I was tough, mentally tough when I got on the tour, and I found out I wasn't. Now, that's at my standard, at my level. Like, those ladies were fantastic. So I wasn't horrible. I just had to get better to be, in the top, 20, 30 every week.
Right.
And Dottie certainly was one of those ladies. And there, it's kind of confusing as a young player. For me it was because there's Dottie's style, who Dottie really didn't speak to too many of her competitors. It was really the Ben Hogan type. And then you had, the Arnie Palmer, the Chichi Rodriguez types that talked a lot. We have a character, Lori West, who is fantastic at that. I didn't know my style. I didn't know how I can't be a more of a Dottie. And so I just couldn't find it, how to relax and be the best out there. It's a big change when you have to interact with a gallery, be on TV, versus playing with the guys in your backyard or in college. Nobody's watching. You just do your thing. So it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. But I loved that victory, obviously, over Dottie. That was my my first, and then turned out I really kind of after that I was more involved with my husband at the time and my son, and that was it. As soon as I had my son, I stopped playing. And I thought I'd go back after I got him into school, but I went back for a tournament, literally a tournament or two, and I was looking at my watch while I was out there on the course on the 13th hole, and I just knew that's just not going to work. My interest was more at home, and I've been home ever since, and I live in Pittsburgh, and I coach part-time all around my son's schedule. Right now he's in that age where it's less. It's you know what it is as parents. I'm a taxi cab, so I'm a professional caddy in the tennis tour, and I miss I miss my professional career, but I have no regrets. I love what I'm doing, and so we'll see. In 2 years, we'll see how much more I can take on or want to take on. But for now, I just wanted to enjoy this stage of life. I've seen too many of my friends, men and women, golfers, do both and try to squeeze in a practice session here and travel. I don't want to do it. I just want to lead a really simple life. It's relaxing. All my family's around town. It's really, I would say, normal, which you are not normal as a tour player for a long time. You're just not. So I feel very, it's just so easy. I sometimes feel like I have no discipline anymore, but I still do.
Missy, just a couple more before we let you go. And I'm a big fan of your website, MissieBerteotti.com. I've downloaded your free training schedule. I've had the privilege of talking with Gary Player a few times, and he talks about how most golfers spend too much time hitting balls with their drivers, and when the majority of the game is played from 100 yards in. And you seem to follow that same philosophy because your schedule has the majority of the time being spent pitching and chipping and putting. Talk about that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I would, to real simply state it, it's an ego thing, maybe, is an easy way to summarize it. But just statistically, it doesn't lie. The game of golf is within 100 yards, and you just have to do it. There's so many, people that bang it that don't go anywhere. But what you can even see on my site, and my other site also will be coming out probably in a couple of days or two, Chris. It's funny we always talk again, but I'm right. I get a lot of requests from women to please help them. They want to be taught by a woman. And now I have had all the juniors, my son going on, so I've said no a lot, but I'm starting I've got a partner, I've got a business partner, and we're going to do 3-day golf schools and teach women, and mostly business women who want to use golf to advance their business careers. So we have a really nice curriculum that I've used all the time for the women golfers I've taught. I used to take them on golf vacation trips, and we work on the short game and pitching and the mental side as far as embarrassment, how to play with a colleague and feel like because you're not a great golfer, that won't take away your ability to do business with him or her. And that it's the same in whatever arena, sports, business. So I love doing that. It's nice to work with intelligent people, and these are all intelligent people, and it's nice they value golf, and they like my sport, and they value my background. So I'm really excited we're doing 5 events for the 2015 at Troon Golf Properties. I used to be sponsored by Troon on tour, so they're first-class resorts, and it's a 3-day business golf experience. There's going to be a business schedule where there's, like I said, my partner, she's going to deliver lessons in that world as to how to how to conduct yourself within that world with typically men. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity too, and I'm really looking forward to that. And we do a fitness portion program, for the women, and I teach them indoors in private. So there's no worry about how they look. There's no concern about results, and I get them to get physical. And oftentimes, that has to be developed. I've studied all the TPI. I love it. So I get these ladies knowing how. We absolutely develop their competence. But, we do indoor exercises. They'll go home. They'll be putting in their office. I have the putting tracks, all the metronomes. Don't worry. They'll get it. So I'm looking forward to that now, too. 5 events through the year, 20 golfers max, small, intimate settings. I think I can definitely spend a lot of time on that, and I won't be overextended. So I think it's going to be a nice addition to my daily schedule, my lifestyle. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. So you got us a little excited. So when it's ready, where will we be able to find it?
You know what? Okay, MissieBerteotti.com has all my stuff, and there'll be a link to the Business Golf Academy, and you can find out everything there. Honestly, I would say it's going to be Monday, Chris. So we're 2 days in advance. So is this a scheduled great prep? Great going there. You're a good PR person. Yeah, MissieBerteotti.com. I'm easy to find. I'm not a big Twitter, though, person. I listen to Shaun. I'm kind of with him. I do Facebook, and I read Twitter, but I don't post that frequently. Hardly ever, actually.
All right. Well, MissieBerteotti.com. So we look forward to, like I said already, I'm already a big fan of your site. So now adding this component to it's going to be fantastic. Missy, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come back on the show. You're just a wonderful person, and I can't thank you enough for coming back on the show. I hope you'll continue to come back, and once you got that site up and going, we'd like to hear more about it and get all the details, and then obviously your insights for what's going on around the game of golf, because you're fantastic.
Chris, I really thank you so much for that. I thank you very much. It's glad to be with you this morning, and I'll be in touch for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Missy. Best of luck to your son with his tournament, his tennis tournament as well. But all the best to both of you, and we look forward to catching up with you again real soon.
Thank you, Chris. Bye-bye. Bye.
All right, take care, Missy. Goodbye. Missie Berteotti, again, MissieBerteotti.com, and let me just make sure you spell the last name. It's BerteoTTI, so MissieBerteotti.com, and as you can hear from how passionate she is in her voice and just the comments she makes, and I mean it sincerely. What a wonderful individual Missie Berteotti is. So check out her site again, MissieBerteotti.com for more information. Great lessons on there, and then this upcoming business piece. Fantastic stuff. All right, before we close up shop, I want to let you know about a new book from our friends Dave Stockton and Dave Stockton Jr. that we want you to take a look at, and it's called Own Your Game. We talked so much today and in the last several weeks about the mental side of the game. In this latest book, they let you know how to use your mind to play winning golf. Own Your Game recreates the experience of riding 18 holes with Dave Stockton at one of his highly sought-after corporate outings and draws from his experience as a champion tour player and a revered coach. So he shows you how to do this. He shows you how to think better, stay calmer, execute more consistently, and most importantly, how to enjoy the game more thoroughly. So go to StocktonGolf.com to get your copy, and for a couple extra dollars, he'll even autograph it for you. I got mine coming, so you're going to love this book. Fantastic stuff. All right, everybody, it's time to put a bow on this edition. My sincere thanks again to Shaun Micheel and Missie Berteotti for being such wonderful guests with me this morning. Two outstanding individuals. I hope you enjoyed the show. And we can't thank you enough for tuning in. We appreciate you the most. Please also check out our sister show, Thursday Night Tailgate with me and my co-host Bob Lazzari, our announcer Joe LaGenusa. That show airs live every Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on Blog Talk Radio and starting at 10:15 Eastern Time on Armed Forces Radio. Plus, on Friday nights, you can hear us from 8 to 10 Eastern Time over on Boost Radio. And then starting again 11 o'clock on Armed Forces Radio, it gets rebroadcast. We're joined every week by legends from around the NFL and the CFL. Please also check out both shows on Facebook. Give us a like. That's important to us, too. And you can find us online. This show, nextonthetee.net and ThursdayNightTailgate.com. You can stream or download any of our archive episodes for free and keep up to date with who our future guests are going to be. Thanks once again for choosing to listen today. I appreciate that very much. Until next week, hit 'em straight, my friends.